Hello everyone, my name is Dinny Collins and I'm from Bitcoin With Dinny or Crypto With Dinny, and we teach people how to retire early. I've been an entrepreneur since 8 years of age. I've built multiple 6 and 7 figure businesses over that time. My first business, I have to do my slides as well. There we go. My first business was golf balls at 8 years of age. Our backstory was my parents struggled for money their whole life, and my incentive was I wanted to buy my father a new car, so we didn't have to sneak into mass. I also wanted a motorbike, which they couldn't buy me. So I went around all the local golf courses, in the ponds, collected golf balls. It was my first venture into entrepreneurship and creating a business. And I'd scoop the golf balls out of the lake, I'd take them home, I'd clean them, and I'd bring them to the golf club. They'd sell them to the golfers, and the golfers hit them back in the lake, and that was the business. I reinvested into the business to get waders so I could get deeper into the ponds and collect more golf balls. But that was my first sort of venture. And then between then and the age of 18, I had many other ventures, from grass cutting, going around the local area with my father's lawnmower. I had a milk round, and many other jobs. I was even a bouncer, believe it or not, at 5'7", where I had to mind down in one of the caravan sites in Donabate. The lads from town were fairly rough on the arcade machines, so they needed someone to stop them damaging them, and that person was me. I didn't last too long in that. As I went on, just a little backstory on me. After school, I became a motorcycle mechanic. I served my time as an apprenticeship. Motorcycles is something that I've always been passionate about. Still, I'm really passionate about motorcycles, and they're a huge part of my life. They always have been. I decided the motorcycle apprenticeship, after I finished it, the company went out of business, so I was unemployed. My father at the time was getting a little bit older and needed some help with his business, so I fell into working with my dad. And of course, him being an old school man, all about the ticket, you have to get the ticket, get the qualification, he made me serve my time again. So I done another apprenticeship in steel fabrication. Now, I was pretty good at steel fabrication, but I didn't enjoy it. I was living for the weekends when I'd be racing my motorbikes. Used to this crack called road racing. This is where I learned about risk management with what we do today. So road race is just a sport. It's pretty dangerous. It's not a long-term hobby. You'll see Isle of Man and this sort of stuff, but it's a savage buzz. It's great crack. There's nothing better. But I was living for the weekend, a job I didn't like, and I was doing a sport that I knew wasn't a long-term sport. So at the weekends, I was competing in front of 60,000 people, and in the weekdays, I was going to a job I hated, which was steelwork. Then I decided I need to get away from this, and I went for my second love, which was surfing. So I took myself away from that circus to Australia to do a little bit of surfing and get away from the whole road racing circus. It was at that time that a good friend of mine, he passed away doing road racing, and I seen the damage he left behind, so I decided, right, no more of that. I'm going to stick to motocross instead, which is much safer. You only break bones. That's me about to break some bones. But this brings me on to my first point of entrepreneurship. And on that journey, I fell into healthy body, healthier mind, and healthier business. So as part of being into motorcycles all my life, you break some bones. And my worst injury was a broken back. And it was as I rehabbed my back, they strap a float to you, and you walk up and down a little swimming pool. And I walked up and down the pool twice on the first day. I was in terrible pain. I'd had loads of surgeries, and I was blaming the surgeons. But sure, they didn't break my back. I did. So I had to take responsibility for the injury. And that taught me about responsibility. And when I took responsibility, we actually started to progress. I became a physical therapist. I became a personal trainer. Not because I wanted to rub lads. I just wanted to learn about the body more. When I learned about progress was after a month of my rehabilitation, I was walking in the hydrotherapy pool with my float on, and I was doing 30 lengths of the pool. And I was still in tremendous pain. And I was thinking it's not working. But then I was like, Dinny, remember a month ago, you could only walk 2 lengths. Now you're doing so much more work. So that was just my lesson in progress. And that became something that I've used to build all my companies, was focus on progress, not perfection. How the whole health thing comes into it is the law of compounding. Compounding is how I retired myself early, and it's what I teach people now in my businesses. Okay, we can compound our health, we can compound our wealth. But the law of compounding was, by me being consistent with my exercise, I went from walking in a hydrotherapy pool to walking on normal land. We take it for granted, but when you've lost it, you realize it's a privilege. Then I went to a little bit of jogging, a little bit of running, a little bit of swimming, a little bit of cycling. And then I was able to compound myself to do an Ironman triathlon. It was at this stage that my surgeons had said, Dinny, you can't do your job. Your spine is very weak. We need a career change. And I was creating a business. Now, there's no way I would have been able to create my first official business, not just my little golf ball collecting or grass cutting business. I don't think I could have done it. Because although people were saying, geez, Dinny, you look very fit now, you look more athletic. And that was grand on the outside, but it was the changes that happened on the inside is what made the massive difference in my life. I had more confidence than I ever had before. I had more energy. People say, Dinny, how have you so much energy? It's just a byproduct of being pretty healthy, I think. Okay? I had more motivation, I had more self-belief, I had more confidence. I could get anything done, I was unstoppable. And these are all a byproduct and how having a healthy body translates to a healthier mind and translates to a healthier business. And I've built fitness businesses and we get entrepreneurs in and I'd say this program's free. I'd be pitching them a program for $2,000, $3,000, whatever. I'd be saying this is free. Your bottom line is going to increase by much more than the price you're going to pay for this personal training program. And time again, it played out to be true because they were procrastinating and leaving so much on the table that by improving their physical health, we were able to improve their business bottom line. So healthier body, healthier mind, healthier business. My second really important lesson that I learned on my journey of entrepreneurship was to get help. Okay, business is hard. And you guys got a business? Raise your hands, please. Okay, hands up if you think business is hard. The rest of you are liars. Okay, business is hard. But Tony Robbins said to me one day. Has anyone ever heard Tony Robbins? Okay, Tony says to me one day. He says, Dinny, there's two ways to learn. He's a good friend of mine. He says, Dinny, there's two ways to learn. You can do something for 10 years and be really bad at it, and you'll figure it out. And in a decade, you'll probably be an expert. You've made all the mistakes, and you've learned all the lessons. I says, all right, Tony. And he says, but there's a second way to learn. What you can do is you can find someone who's spent 10 years making all the mistakes, wasting all their time. And what you can do is you can pay them for their knowledge, and you can save a decade. And now you can make they'll teach you over a weekend. And what you learn over a weekend, you can now profit off for 10 years. And that was my first sort of lesson. Okay, maybe it's worth investing. Maybe it's worth getting some help. And that's been something that I've done on my whole entrepreneurial journey, was realize the power of getting help and having a coach. Now, when I hired my first coach, that's where I was living, in a caravan. So when people say, Dinny, it was easy for you, it wasn't. I started with zero, with nothing. And I remember it as clear as day. My first coach pitched me a program for €4,000, and that's where I was living. In my bank accounts, business and personal, I was in business. I had all the energy, motivation, okay, willpower, but I didn't know how to sell, I didn't know how to market, and I didn't know anything about operations. So this coach pitched me a program for $4,000, which is all the money I had in the world. Thankfully, I took the leap of faith, okay? And the course was pitched, and we're going to teach you to get your business to doing $10,000 a month and to be able to scale your business. The knowledge and compounded knowledge that I learned on that course 15, 18 years ago, I'm still using today. That $4,000 investment is worth hundreds of thousands, maybe 7 figures today. And this is the power of compounding and the power of getting help. This is one little example that I like to give because I'm into Bitcoin and digital currencies. I brought a pool with me, okay? Just for the example, okay? If I was to say to you, I'll sell you this poo. I had to buy this yesterday. I went to 6 stores asking for a poo before I found this, by the way. But if I say, I'll sell you this poo for $0.01, is it a good deal? It's very cheap, but is it a good deal? What's the value of the poo? Imagine it's a real poo. Not very valuable. However, if I offered to sell you this €50 note, and I offered to sell you this for a tenner, it's 1,000 times more expensive than the poo. This is why, little plug on the cryptocurrencies, this is why people are really bad investors in crypto, because they focus on price, not value. That's why they buy stuff that's fractions of a penny. But you're going to get this 50 for a tenner. It's 1,000 times more expensive. Is it more valuable? Of course it is. You're getting a 5x on your investment, and that's a poo. So that was my lesson on price. Price isn't important. It's your return on investment. It doesn't matter what I spend in business if I can get a return on that money. Okay? And when I was in my mobile home, I had to transition that thinking, and it was coaching that helped me get to that stage to focus on return on investment rather than price. And shameless plug to Emma from Outside the Box. She's been helping me to tidy up Crypto with Dinny and work on my marketing and branding. Now, my next and last and final little entrepreneurial point is use technology and trends to build and scale a business. So how I managed to build businesses over a decade ago with no capital behind me, without any rich parents to give me a loan, or any banks are going to give you a loan when you live in a caravan, to be able to build large and successful businesses, was to spot trends early and use technology, okay? And I spotted a trend. Hands up here if you have a mobile phone, a smartphone. Hands up here if you look at any social apps, podcasts, okay? Rest of us are liars. We're all desperate for content, okay? Being a consumer, let me do a bit of consuming. Being a consumer, that's taking money out of your pocket, okay? Being a creator, that's putting money into your pocket. And you can do it for free. So I'll tell you my business model before I discovered this. Do you remember Periscope? Periscope was one of the first social apps that you could do live streams on. Then Facebook said, oh, it's working. And they done it. And now Periscope's probably gone. That's the beauty of a monopoly. But again, back to coaching and getting help. My coach at the time said to me, Dinny, what you're going to do is you're going to go live for 100 days. I'd never done a live video in my life. This is a decade ago. And I'm like, right, what am I going to talk about for 100 days? He says, you're going to go live for 100 days straight. I don't care what you talk about. You just gave me all your money. You better do what I say, or you're probably going to be on the streets, aren't you? You're in a caravan, you told me. Okay? So, oh yeah, we're here. So, I done what he said anyway. And my previous business model was I used to do flyers. I'd pay a graphic designer to design some flyers, and then I'd pay a distribution company to go and give them out. I started doing live videos. That was costing me 500 quid. At the time, I was advertising fitness classes, kettlebell classes. I done my flyer drop, and I sat at home waiting, looking at the phone. Nothing happened. Maybe after a week, I got a phone call. I was like, yes, 500 quid invested in advertising. What are we going to get? Hello, I'm calling about the kettles. Is it good tea? Some little old dear had seen my flyer, and she thought I was selling kettles. When I started using social media, which is free, and just branding as myself and putting myself out there in my story so people could connect to it, every video was free to do, and almost every video, I was getting a phone call or a Facebook message or some sort of a DM. Instagram wasn't around at the time. And because I had a coach who had taught me now how to sell and market, I was making about 1,200 quid a video. Although my friends are going, look at this Egypt doing this video. Oh, I couldn't do that. And I'm like, well, yeah, but that's fine. You don't have to do it. But by doing it, I was able to leverage the market, leverage technology, and really scale a business without any capital behind it. And it's the exact same thing I've done. Can it still be done today? Yes, of course it can. 3 years ago, I started Bitcoin with Dinny with 0 followers. Now on all our social platforms, we get 50 to 100,000 eyeballs a month for free. And we've done that just by the power of being a creator rather than a consumer. And that's the world that we're living in. People are just desperate to consume information. It's been my absolute pleasure to speak to you today. My name is Dinny Collins from Bitcoin with Dinny, from Crypto with Dinny. If any are interested in understanding how to use a digital asset portfolio to retire early, if you are interested in learning about the education on digital assets, Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, I'd be happy to chat to you. Check out all our socials. Check out our podcast. We set up the biggest Bitcoin meetup in Ireland, and we're having a bigger one coming up soon. And I'm down there at the bottom, so come and chat to me and I'll burn the ears off you about Bitcoin. All right, Dinny out. Thank you.